Hello everybody, Sani here, engineer, MBA, and investor. And in today's video, I want to talk about technology, how AI, machine learning, big data can assist genomics as a whole, specifically with CRISPR companies. Give some examples here and there. But before we do that, before we jump into today's video, you guys know exactly what I will ask you. Like this video, smash the like button, destroy the like button, guys. Really help this channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. And thank you so much for support, guys. If you have any comments, input, feedback, leave it in the comments below. We try to read and respond to every single comment. So I'm gonna go ahead here and look at this thread here, right? Because this is where the inspiration came about, right? This morning, I was driving with my father. We were going somewhere, and I was browsing through this thread, and I just saw it, and I told myself, hey, this would be a perfect video because this is a great segue into yesterday's video, right? From yesterday's video, which I talked about Beam Therapeutics CEO John Evans, and the CEO mentioned how he was putting basically him and his team can basically put a mouse, right? A mouse on what they call robotics, right? Whatever that appliance is, and then you can basically sequence the genome, get it straight sent in a PDF format or XML or Excel or CSV, whatever format, through an email, through that scientist team. And basically, that reduces delays, it reduces costs, and it ultimately improves efficiencies and productivity, right? And basically, when I read this thread, right, let's go through this thread and let's get back to CRISPR company's example there. So taking a look at the use of tech and biotech, here we will look at the automation, AI, machine learning, and the discovery of new drugs, right? Introduction. It can take up to 10 years to develop a new drug. A majority of time is spent in lab testing target and ideas. It's a process sorting through thousands of potential targets to find the one worth advancing. It can cost a ton of money to develop a drug. The statistics shows that it can cost upwards of 2.5 billion to bring a new drug all the way to commercial. The high level of failure and high cost of testing and discovery is one space where technology can really help. It can help with the success rate. Computers can use database and algorithms to scan thousands of potential targets to pick just a handful of targets that will have the highest chance of success. This can save a huge amount of time where trial and error would have been used. So just going to pause here for a second. Computers can use database. Basically, we're talking about SQL databases or Elasticsearch databases or MySQL, whatever type of database you're using, and you can sort of query them, get your data, and basically expose it in a UI friendly way, right? And this is where this gets really, really important because now you have actual data that is stored somewhere and you can retrieve it anytime you want and basically distribute that data right through different channels, right? Whether that's emailing, whether that's putting it on another database and do other type of work with it, or basically just reviewing it through reports on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. And that's where I think technology gets about, right? Gone are the days where you go in the lab and everything's written in pencil and eraser. You have pencil erasers and pen. That's just gone. These are just legacy ways of doing things. Now you have robotics. Now you have AI. Now you have machine learning. Now you have, you know, all these things connected, right? You still have those basics like emailing and having a Windows machine and just using whatever proprietary software you're using, right, to access that data. But the point remains that now these lab trials can now be accelerated, right? You reduce delays, reduce costs, increase efficiency and productivity, right? We are entering a new era of drug discovery that uses AI and machine learning to make it faster, more cost effective, and more successful. The use of automation, AI, ML can reduce time and cost, exactly what I said. It's all about data. It's about collecting, organizing, and using data to discover new target. Right? Genetic data can predict what genes may drive a disease. It may also predict the variation of genes across the population of how they can affect that disease. Right? If you want to, for example, as a CRISPR company, if you want to target a specific gene, basically you have a mutated gene, you want to target it, you want to do your double-strand break, or in this case, in beam editing case, obviously single-strand breaks, or in prime editing, you have another type of edit there. But whatever, regardless what edit you're doing there, the fact remains that you need to know what gene you want to edit. And to know what gene you want to edit, you need data, right? And that's when we're talking about genetic data. And obviously, if there's one field where data can't be misrepresented, it's going to be in genomics, right? This is moving atoms to atoms, right? This is human bodies, human genes, animal genes, or plants gene, whatever that is. It's not just a string of text in computer science, right? It's not just a software that you just have entries of like vehicle color or employee ID, and those are not the type of information we're talking about. This is actually human gene, and it's affecting the genotype, right? Your blue eyes, your brown hair, your hand, your length, your, or in this case, your specific disease do you have. So this is very important, right? Just think about the amount of money that governments and authorities and other companies and big tech companies, including big tech companies, will be paying for this data, right? So keep that in mind. So we're looking at it here, patient data, collecting patient data, prior therapies, side effects, outcomes can help which patients will respond to the best of therapies, which can have the bad account. Combined with genetic data, we can personalize medicine for each patient. Personalized medicine for each patient. Very key, guys. Clinical data can be used by AI to determine what has worked and what has failed before. And it can come up with new ways to potentially target the same target with a different approach. AI can be predict a combination of drugs that may work best for each patient. And this is amazing because this is where big data comes to play. And when you have big data, when you have actual data, when we mean big data, we just mean a lot of data, right? When you have a lot of data, a lot of input, basically you need a mechanism that process all that data, right, and outputs in a way where you as a user, you as a scientist, you as a company, you want it to be outputted. So for example, you may have a lot of data coming in as a CSV format, right? And now you have this middleware that let's just call it AWS, right? AWS, you spin up instances, you spin up VMs, and then you have all that processes within the AWS or Azure or Google Cloud format, and then you can output that, right? And this is where you can accelerate the growth, right? This is why a bunch of these companies unrelated to biotech, like Airbnb, Uber, DoorDash, all these companies came about with AWS and Azure offerings, right? Cloud offerings, because now you don't have to worry about cost of servers, you don't have to worry about cost of processes. The likelihood is that companies have their developers, in this case AWS for example, that you can sort of partner up with and develop those types of processes, and things are already in place, right? These things have been going for years and years. So again, this field is developing, right? Just don't forget about that, right? Today's AI and machine learning will not look like what will look like in 2025 or even 2030, right? You'll have less cost, more productivity, more options, more companies involved. Just look at what Palantir is doing with the genomic space, right? In this channel, we said it out loud. Palantir is officially a genomics company. And there's a reason why I said it, because now they're offering within their software specific products, specific add-ons, specific plugins, specific to biotech companies, right? So keep that in mind. This can help that AI direct to look for new targets you might have where something worked, but it was too toxic and had off targets effects, right? The use in AI and machine learning, right? So again, this is obviously biotech is doing a well job here explaining, but these are things that I just covered now. It's basically, with that data, right? This you can sort of target the mutated proteins, right, that can drive cancer growth, and then you can develop targeted therapy that take on these genetic mutation on cancer, right? And I think this is perfect because this type of thread what makes you realize, and let's just go over the conclusion right away. Using automation, AI and machine learning can allow companies to build a platform. Technology can lower costs and improve success. It enables companies to do more with less. They can build a lab with less, few highly skilled individuals that can drive innovation. So, I mean, I think there's different eras of technology, and I think we've grown a lot, and I think there's a lot of growth to come, right? But with how today, how it stands, right, you don't need those labs with that personnel and with all these processes to do every single thing in order to get the outcome you want. Now you can leverage technologies, right? You can leverage other companies' work, right? There's a reason why you have Kanban type of companies or data companies. Whatever they call themselves, right? Meister Task, you have Reich, or you have all these types of companies, right? What they do is they offer productivity tools, right? In this case, we're not talking about those types of productivity tools. We're talking more about processes and systematic process to use machine learning and big data, right? And these are like keywords, these are buzzwords that people use a lot, but in reality, what it is you have a lot of input and you want a certain desired outcome, or in other words, an output. And in engineering, and John Evans, unfortunately, he didn't expand on that. He used other words to explain it, and it's probably because he's an English major, not an engineering major here. But it's what we call a feedback loop, right? You have an input, right? It goes through a process, and as you go through the process, you reiterate it by reinserting it back to the input with new input coming in, and you refine that process, right, until you get the desired outcome. And this is things what we call feedback loop in engineering. And what machine learning and AI and big data and all sorts of that this technology, what it does is basically that refine that process faster at a less cost and with a desired outcome. And I think that's just amazing here. I love these types of articles because, or these types of threads rather. I just forget sometimes that we don't have to depend on legacy media anymore. Now we have actual direct access to individuals like Biotech 2K1 that had many years of experience. And just forget sometimes it's just a crazy time we're living in, right? The financial Twitter, Reddit, and so on. So, but yeah, so this is really important, guys, because I've covered this in this channel many times, but big data, AI, machine learning, all these technologies are changing the game. Cloud services are changing the game. And it's not just happening with software companies and apps on iOS or Android. This is happening in biotech. This is a new era of biotech. We've actually heard not just Beam Therapeutics CEO said about this, but I actually covered a few months ago an interview with Dr. Sam from CRISPR Therapeutics. He actually mentioned that big data and the working from home, basically virtually, reducing meetings with big data, with machine learning, with AI, they can basically increase efficiency. What took many days or months now takes a couple of hours or if not minutes, right? And this is a significant change, right? I mean, the basic example I can tell you guys is just remember there was a time where people were sitting down and there was manual entries with a pen and paper pencil, basically erasing data or writing data in a book, and then you would put that book, whatever that is, accounting principles or just like basic transactions, right? And you close that book, you put it somewhere, you store it, it takes actual space and it stays there for basically a long time. You get a new book, that's just cost, that's just manual work, labor. It's just not efficient compared to what we have today, right? Today basically we have Windows platform, right? We have what we call Excel, right? Everything's written, you have macros written, and that's what you have to think about with lab trials and with genomics. And I truly believe there's a place and growth for this. I think there is. I think a lot of people are looking forward for it. It's already happening. We saw what Beam Therapeutics CEO said yesterday's video. I mentioned that, but this is just reinforcing here that this is the new era of genomics. This is the new CRISPR era. I think gone are the days where trials will take years and years. I think we will accelerate that. Again, if you can prove data is safe, if you can prove data is effective, and if you have a novel idea, a useful idea, and a unique idea, then I see no reason for you to be held back by regulations or by bureaucracy, or better yet, by a legacy technology that forces you to do things in years and instead of months, or better yet, in weeks. I'm gonna end this video like this. Hopefully you guys appreciated it. Went over all the place here, but the point was just really give you guys perspectives to how we can leverage big data, AI, machine learning with lab trials using this thread here by biotech, but also with what we've heard by past CEOs. Let me know what you guys think. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see each other in the next video. Have a beautiful day. Thank you.